Hello everyone, welcome to this first session of Nexus quarterly releases. This is spring 2019. So in these sessions we'll try to give you as much insights as possible on our product portfolio, our solutions, give you demos on how it actually works, and we will also go to specific key topics in different releases. Today we will actually start by giving you an introduction to Smart ID, what it is and how it works, and then we will move into the other topics of today that are virtual smart cards, security enhancements that we are putting into place or already have put in place, self-service and identity issuance. And finally, in the end of the session, we will also give you a sneak peek of what we will be talking about in the next session. So before I go in and talk about what Smart ID is and how it can help you and your customers, what has changed with Nexus now is that we have moved the Smart ID platform into actually being a full solution and being managed through release updates. So we will release product and solution features multiple times every year, and it will be managed and published on our documentation site exactly which features are released. This year, 2019, generally on the platform, we are focusing on unified deployment, bootstrapping, and integration. And finally as well, user interface, really important, and that is also one of our key topics of the session today. So looking at Smart ID as an offering and a product and what it can do for you. So what challenge do we have on the market when we look at customers that try to implement an identity solution? A lot of our customers has cards, maybe only for visual ID and physical access, but today the world looks totally different, and the means of and need of a strong identification is as strong in the digital world as in the physical. So looking at this picture where we have smart card, we have laptop environments, and we have mobile users. All these different platforms have the same strong need for strong authentication and identification. And as you see in the picture, this is everything from accessing cloud services in a secure way to being able to do encrypted email or making a digital signature. That is not just for the laptop users. You should be able to do that as well on a mobile platform. So Nexus Smart ID, and what we'll be focusing on today is the workforce part. So Smart ID is divided into two parts. It's about issuing secure identities for workforce and for helping everyone within an organization to be able to perform a much more efficient and secure job. And the other part is about IoT. In this session today, we will not talk about IoT. We will have separate sessions that will focus on the IoT topic. But what is important, many of our customers actually use Smart ID for both workforce solutions and IoT and combine them because they are in the manufacturing industry and they want to inject identities into the devices that they produce in their factories. And if we look at the identities, Smart ID has two main parts, I would say. One is where we look at issuing and managing the life cycle of the identities, and that could be an identity that is on a card, on a mobile phone, or on a laptop. And the other part of the solution is where we provide solutions to enable you to use the identities real on an everyday basis. It could be for getting an entrance into a room, getting secure printouts, signing a digital document, enabling multi-factor authentication into your laptop or to other digital systems, and many other things. On this picture here, you see a visualization of the whole workforce concept. So on one side, you see the administrators, the employees, and the contractors. The core of Smart ID is to be able to provide identities that can then go on a laptop, on a mobile, or on a card, and that you, depending on which role you have and in which state you are, you have the possibility to use your identity for different purposes. On the right hand side, you see basically a visualization of whatever, if it is accessing to securely to your wireless network, to your Office 365 solutions, or doing a visual identification when you pass through the security gate. So the different parts of the Smart ID solutions is divided into three. So first you have the credential management. That's where we actually manage the issuance and lifecycle of the credentials. I will come into that a little bit more. Then we have the access and signature management. Here is where we look at both physical and logical, especially when we talk about access, and that's accessing services or laptops or specific devices, or accessing buildings that actually have even physical access systems from different vendors. And then finally you have the certificate and PKI platform. So Nexus is a high security company. We've been working for a long time, and PKI is really in our blood, and of course many of our customers use third-party PKI platforms, Microsoft's ADCS CA platform, but we also have our own, and that's what we then call in our Smart ID offering, certificate management. Just going in a little bit into details when it comes to the first part, credential management. So it is about combining the physical and digital world and also managing the full life cycle. So it's not just about encoding the card to be able to go through the door. It's not just about printing the card so that it gets the right photo and the right layout. It's about the approval processes. It's about the having a good notification system so that you get notifications exactly where your card order is, if you have approvals that needs to be made, or so. So on that specific topic, that's where we also see that Smart ID consists of a lot of admin functions, but also a lot of end user self-service functionality. So that's why it's one of the specific topics that we will be talking about today. That's self-service, and this is the credential management part. Here is the self-service part, really important. This is where you as a single employee are able to go in, securely log in with one of your credentials and manage your other credentials. You can update with new certificates, or you can change your PIN codes, and you can request for access to different systems. So user self-service, really important part of the credential management platform, Smart ID. It's also so that where we control the processes so that we can manage the approvals, and this is where we integrate towards third-party systems. In many cases, customers here use our standard integrations towards Microsoft Active Directory or HR systems. And of course, as I said before, towards physical access systems to be able to integrate if you have a valid credential to be able to access a specific room or a specific building. And finally, this is where you are able to gather the logs proving that you are managing the identities in a proper way. And this it's really important when we are talking about compliance, for example, GDPR, PSD2, etc. So this is critical to be able to have secure and proper logs that can prove that who actually approved that Daniel should have this card and have these rights to be able to access both digital documents and physical premises. Going forward and talking a little bit about this access and signature management. This is where we talk about having your phone or your card and really being able to utilize it on an everyday basis. So basically eliminating username and password. Username and password, they're not just weak in the sense of not being able to provide the right security that you're able to protect your data, but it's also so that if you ask around about within both IT, the IT department on how they like to manage passwords and usernames over time, and how they would like users to be able to manage themselves and not having to change password every third week and have long complex ones that they would for sure will forget. So being able to provide an access platform that can utilize easy to use strong credentials like a mobile identity or a smart card, that is Smart ID access management. That's where you can use different types of authentication mechanism and then access different systems. And these are many times in the cloud, local on-premise installations, or it could be on your local laptop. And the signature part of this is of course something that are moving very rapidly now. So when we're talking about digitizing society and also digitizing enterprises and organizations, being able to go the full way and not end up the digital process by actually printing the document and then putting your stamp and your physical signature on the document. That's where we help our customers to go the full way and actually use their strongly entrusted identities to actually sign the documents and then store them and keep them trusted over a long time period. So the last slide, just to summarize the Smart ID offering, we're talking about three different parts: the credential management, access and signature management, and certificate management. In the credential management part, you have physical ID, that is where you manage the full life cycle and issuance process of the physical credentials. Could be in cards, key fobs, printing, visual, and coding. In the digital ID part, still a part of the credential management section, we talk about managing the certificates that goes on the card or on the mobile phone, or virtual smart cards that go on your laptop. In the access and signature management part, you have the physical access solution. That's where you connect to different physical access system, and you get synchronization and control by being able to onboard and offboard and activate access and withdraw access in an automatic way. So if I change position within the company or if I leave, I will be automatically locked and getting access into the right facilities. Then you have digital access and digital signing. Those two are really connected. So it's about that you have your digital identity, that you're able to either access the digital resources in a secure way, and when you have accessed them, you want to finalize the work with the digital documents and you want to be able to sign them. It can be a PDF document, it can be a transaction, XML or whatever, and that's where you use the digital signing section. And finally, we have the corporate PKI, being our own Nexus PKI platform that has been around for a long time, very flexible, and is able to replace any PKI platform to issue millions of certificates to any purpose in the market. Okay, let's then move into the next topic of the agenda. So I will invite now my colleague Johan, who will join me here, and we will start to talk a little bit about virtual smart cards, how they're used, how they work, and main benefits. So welcome, Johan.
Thank you.
So next topic on the agenda for today is virtual smart cards, what is actually a virtual smart card?
Yeah, so the short description of a virtual smart card is that you, instead of putting your certificates on a smart card, like a traditional one, you create them on the TPM chip of the device. So this is a Microsoft technology, and the TPM module is used. TPM stands for Trusted Platforms Module, and it's like a global standard for security. So all new devices already have this hardware on them.
Okay, good. So, and if I understand it right, it's basically it's a solution that works on Microsoft operating systems and.
Yeah, of course. So the Nexus solution is built for Windows 10, so it's only for Windows 10 devices, but necessarily doesn't need to be a laptop, so you can use any Windows 10 enabled tablet, for example, to also provide secure authentication to Windows. Good,
yeah. I'm actually using it myself on my computer, and if we should look at benefits, I think from me personally, it's the user friendliness. It's a totally different thing, and especially when it comes to when the IT security manager usually comes with the third warning that now you only have 1 day left until you have to change your password. Moving into using a virtual smart cards and certificates for all your authentications, it feels good.
So I mean, a traditional smart card is really user friendly, but you have this. You need hardware, so you need a laptop with either a built-in smart card reader, and if you're looking at devices, like from the broad perspective, if you want to buy such a device, you get a very narrow list of devices. So the virtual smart card doesn't need any additional hardware. It's only the machine itself that you're needing. Yeah. So that's really convenient.
Yeah, and I think. My experience is as well, if I look at our customer base, I don't know any customer that is actually only using virtual smart card. Most of them are using a combination of either traditional smart cards or identities that goes on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, our customers have a very, they have users that have different needs. For example, if some users sit at their desk the whole day, maybe they have desktop machines, then I mean a smart card is really good. You just come to your desk and you enter your smart card and then you log in and work. But as you know, the users gets more mobile, so laptops running around the world, sitting at airports, for example, but you need the same security, and you don't always have the possibility to use an external hardware for smart card. So a virtual smart card is really convenient for the users as a primary credential or as a backup credential, emergency credential. Then you can use it in different way.
Yeah, I quite often come in discussions when it comes to multi-factor authentication. Is virtual smart card really multi-factor?
Yeah, I would say so, because the thing is that your device sort of gets the something you have column, because I cannot take your device and log in with my virtual smart card because it only exists at my device. So that's like a difference between traditional smart cards and virtual smart card, is that the virtual smart card is assigned to one device. So I need my device and I need my PIN code, like I need my card and I need my PIN code. So
Yeah.
I would say that it's multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, and I would say I would probably know earlier that my laptop is gone than that my card is gone. So it's really, because it's certificate based,
Yeah.
and as soon as you block the certificate, you will not be able to authenticate. So that's
Well, that's right. That's right.
okay. And you were actually touching the subject of secondary credential, and that's really one key of using it together with other credentials and for different use cases. So it's actually so that looking at the customers already implementing this, they actually use different credentials as primary credential for different use cases.
Yeah. I mean, so the use cases is fairly similar to a traditional smart card. Windows authentication for ones that you want strong authentication to Windows. But you can also use these certificates for signing emails or even encrypting emails, for VPN or Wi-Fi connections, and of course with our access platform.
Yeah.
To access services not only on premise, but it can also be cloud services such as Office 365 or any other cloud service, through one authentication.
Yeah, and there I would say also coming back to my point of user experience, being able to then use a strong credential in a very simple and straightforward way, and
Yeah.
then have a single sign-on experience, being able to access critical resources in a smooth way. It's positive.
Yeah, so you want security, but you don't want to make your users angry.
No.
So it needs to be convenient and it needs to be easy to use.
They will find a way around it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I think we should probably move in and look at some live demos and see how does this look and how does it work.
Seeing is believing,
isn't it? Okay, so let's go to the demo part here.
All right, so this is the new Prime user self-service portal interface. I'm now at the dashboard and I used my primary credential, that is my smart card, to authenticate to the user self-service portal. In here I can execute processes that are activated for me and my role. One of them is issue virtual smart card that I'm going to show you now. When I press the button of issue virtual smart card, it's pre-configured that I always get an authentication and a signature certificate, and I also have the possibility to select if I want an encryption certificate. When I press next, I can look at what certificates I already have for encryption, and I can recover them in the same process. Right now I don't have any, so I just press next. The next thing that is happening is that Nexus personal desktop app is launched, and I can see the details of my request. Who's the issuer, what user, and the date that it's now activated, and also what slot of the TPM the virtual smart card will be located at. And I select activate. Now I get to select my PIN code. And the virtual smart card is now being created and provisioning to my TPM. I need to enter my PIN code again. The certificate signing request is created, and now I'm getting my certificates provisioned to my machine. I guess this question now that the Nexus Personal Desktop app is attempting to install certificates in the certificate store. And if you want to allow that, and I will select allow. And now my profile is created, and I can go in and take a look at the details of my certificates. I can delete them, and I can also change my PIN code through Nexus Personal Desktop app. And I can also delete my profile if that is necessary. If I now lock my computer, you can see that I used my smart card for authentication, and when I select signing options, I have now the possibility to select security device, and this is my virtual smart card. I enter my PIN code and authenticates back to the same session. And this is basically how you use the virtual smart card for Windows authentication. You can also use it for web authentication to several systems. You can use it together with a hybrid access gateway to authenticate to resources that are protected by hybrid access gateway.
Okay, so moving to the next part of the presentation, security enhancements. I was thinking that we start looking a little bit about on the ecosystem for digital access within Smart ID. And if we put this picture on the screen, would you, Johan, be able to describe a little bit what this is about?
Yeah, so the personal ecosystem for digital access includes both server and client software for authentication and signing, web application, cloud services, desktop, or smart card environments for that case. So it exists on both clients for laptops and tablets and also mobile devices. And the ecosystem on the server side, we have the Hermod service. And Hermod is an open REST API. It's well documented on docs, and what that basically means is that you can use any authentication service or credential management for that case with our client software. So if you like the personal mobile, for example, the PKI based mobile identity, you want to integrate it into your own solution, then you can do it with the open documentation that exists.
Okay.
So it's really easy. Both the Hermod server and the push service for the mobile app is built on Docker also. So it's built for running in the cloud, but it can also be on premise if you have your own Docker infrastructure.
Good, future proof.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Another small topic that I thought that we would pass by would be FIPS compliance.
Yeah, so we did an update to our connector to ADCS. That it will now create FIPS compliant encryption keys, and as we talked about virtual smart card before, this is required for the new version of TPM modules that you have FIPS compliant keys.
Okay.
So this is that we provide a more reliable and standardized quality of keys, also not only technical.
Okay, good. Okay, so moving forward, I was thinking to tell a little bit about the trusted third parties, because a lot of our customers, they are of course looking at managing their own internal identities, but enabling a zero trust model. It's really about having more or less denial being the new standard, and saying that we only trust the identities that we trust. And in addition to only looking at how you issue your own identities, and you have your own CA and you issue certificates from your own maybe Microsoft environment, whatever, you want to add trust from an external source, and many of our customers use the Smart ID platform to connect to local or global third-party trust providers. It can be examples like Trust or IDnomic or of course other external Microsoft CAs. So it's this is really important for a lot of our customers to be able to combine internal and global trust. And in addition to those that I mentioned, just recently we issued a new connector to Kuvadis, and that's enabling the possibility to connect to yet another global and externally trusted CA platforms. And the last topic when it comes to security enhancements would be elliptic curve cryptography. So I've been in this business for too long, so I've always lived and spoke RSA keys, but because we have so many threats and the volumes of devices that needs to have keys, and many of these devices have limited computer power, so elliptic curves are the next generation of crypto algorithm after RSA. So now we support in the Smart ID solution smart cards with the elliptic curves and the Trust ECC certificates, for example. And this is what's the difference? It's basically so that with elliptic curves you can, with less computing power, produce stronger keys even if they're shorter. That's probably the simplest way of trying to explain it. And what could be interesting to understand as well is that we have created these new solutions to be BSI compliant. So BSI is the German Federal Office for Information Security, an external auditor that defines and audits security solutions in Germany. So that's good to know shortly. And finally then, Johan, I was thinking that maybe you could tell a little bit about another regional solution that has been implemented, and we have similar solutions being implemented in other parts of the world, having Swedish Bank ID with QR code.
Yeah, so as some of you know, Nexus is a provider of Bank ID in Sweden. We have a lot of customers using Swedish Bank ID for authentication to e-services, or like a citizen logging into federal governments, or doing self-service. But a main security concern has been social engineering, because there's no relationship between the session, the user browser, and the smartphone that contains the bank ID. So the attackers use this to, for example, I call you, Daniel, and say, hi, I'm from your bank, you need to authenticate to your bank. And then I already started the session. And when you accept, oh, okay, this is my bank that I'm authenticating to, but you are authenticating my session. So Bank ID now released the possibility to, with the app, scan a QR code in the browser instead of entering the personal number in a form. You get the QR code in the browser, you scan it, and then you authenticate. So now we established a relationship between your Bank ID device and the session. And this is really good, I think. And we now implemented it in both Hybrid Access Gateway and our PDF signing solution, that you can now use QR code instead of entering personal number. So that's really good, and we see that other vendors are now looking into the same type of functionality that you have in our relationship between the ID and the device and the session.
Okay, good, interesting. And there we also saw how it actually worked in practice while you explained it. So that's good. So let's move on to the next topic of today. Okay, let's move into the next session, being usability. So from my experience and my knowledge, it's always really important to go for the technically high security solutions when you're focusing on making something secure. But if you miss the users, then there will be users that find another way to solving the problem. And that's why we've spent a huge amount of effort in the last months on user experience. And so we put major efforts in really enhancing the usability, and that comes from both the administration part and the end user part, and also when it comes to installation and deploying the solutions, I would say. They are in many cases complex solutions, but it needs to be simple. So you can even, a lot of these services, solutions, you can actually buy as services now. So something that took 3-4 months to put up locally on premise, you can have set up in 3 days and up and running with the same security level now. So, when we're talking about user experience and user interface, of course, it is everything from the user interface on the local machine when you're using a virtual smart card, self-service portal, but also the mobile client. So looking at personal mobile, that is our mobile identity client, the whole user experience of that is changing. So we're moving to a new layout of the app that is much more neutral, and the identities that are actually put in the app and being used by the end user, they are visualized in a totally different way, you can see here. And there will also be put in place a possibility to do server-side branding. And these identities that are very visualized and very simple for an end user to understand which they're using, they're following within the workflows. So if a user get a push request with one identity, then that identity, the visualization of that will follow through the whole use case. So it's really positive development, and we've done studies with customers, and this is something that will be released shortly. So you users who are already using personal mobile, the first you will see is that the app symbol will change. And the other part of the usability for end users is the self-service portal. It's really critical. That's where we want the end users to should be a straightforward and very simple way to do the things that you want to do when you manage your identities.
Yeah, so the self-service portal has gone through a process of rebranding it and making it more easy for users to use. The old one was good, but this is like the next generation of self-service portal where you have a lot of capabilities. So you actually already saw it when I did the demo for Virtual Smart Card, but now let's move in and look a little deeper on the user self-service portal.
Yes, okay, perfect.
Okay, going back to the user self-service portal again. This is the dashboard that I'm now looking at, and in here I can see what I actually can do with my role when authenticated. This is usually that I want to either request certificates or credentials, or I want to derive maybe my primary credential to another one. Usually we see that the smart card is the primary credential, and then you want to derive it to either a virtual smart card or a mobile credential. But this can also be processes like uploading photos, editing my profile, or doing other tasks in the system. I also have the possibility to see what cards I'm currently having and the status. So if I go in under cards and my cards, I can see my current cards. So you can see now that I have 3 virtual smart cards that are provisioned to my user. One of them is active, the other 2 is card status edit, and that was because I removed them from my machine. I can also go in under certificates and see all my certificates. So you can see here that I have different types of certificates. The top 3 belongs to my mobile identity, and I have 1 authentication and 1 signing and 1 encryption certificate. The other ones are belonging to virtual smart cards that I have provisioned to my device, and I can see also the serial number of those certificates. If I go into identities, I can see actually what kind of data the system have on me. And in this case, this data comes from the Active Directory, such as my name and salutation, the status of my identity, and also other relevant information that the system have on me. So that was just a short introduction to the new Nexus Prime user self-service portal. I'm looking forward to showing you other features going forward as well. Thanks.
Okay, so we're heading off to the last topic of today's session, identity issuance. So when we've been talking about the identities during the session today and credentials. So credentials is anything from an RFID card, smart card, virtual smart card, mobile ID. And when we talk about issuance, it's about personalization, approval steps, encoding, and then also the full life cycle management when the card has been issued. But when you issue something from a system, a lot of our customers, they actually have a local system, but there are options on that.
Yeah, for sure you have a local system and also local printers for instant issuance of cards. For example, that you need a card really fast because someone forgot it or someone is traveling or something else. Then you have local printers, you do encoding on premise, but there's also options to run this as a hybrid option when you want the majority of cards to be produced by someone who has a large facility for producing cards. So the local system can then be connected to our facility, producing cards like batch orders, where we then send the cards to the customers where they are activated in the local system. Or it can be run as a service, completely as a service. So all components are in the cloud, both the system and the components around it. So you only log into a web interface where you can manage your identities, the life cycle, where you can issue identities and revoke them. And then like the hybrid scenario, we produce the identities that are hardware and send it to the customer where they are activated on site.
Yeah. And when you say we now, it's actually so that we include more or less our whole partner network, because we have a lot of local partners that actually offer this local printing service. So that's a great opportunity for a lot of our customers worldwide.
Yeah.
And when it comes to smart card and actually implementations and secure identity issuance, we touched a little bit on it earlier, but a lot of customers use the card as a form of a trust anchor so that they actually can offer the employees a full self-service solution, so that you as an individual employee, you can use that and request a virtual smart card or a mobile identity fully self-service. You don't have to contact the IT administration or anything. You can do everything by yourself.
Yeah, as you saw, seen in the previous demos, we talked about the self-service portal and what you can do with that. And I mean, for sure, the smart card is the primary credential for most of our customers. But I mean, this can change over time as well. In 10 years, we don't know what's the primary credential. This is what we're using right now, but might change also. But the good thing is that you have a good process, and you have where you issue the smart cards, and you can then derive from that to issue mobile identity or virtual smart.
Almost like your corporate passport.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so thanks Johan, and thanks you guys for listening and watching. It's been a pleasure. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us directly or any of our partners. We will for sure keep you posted on any news, and then we will hope to see you soon when we are presenting the summer release of Smart ID. Take care.